Welcome back to Timeless Messages from the I Ching. This is Stephen. Thanks for tuning in. So the question for this reading is, what's the outcome for humanity if feminism continues? What's the outcome for humanity if feminism continues? That's a hard word to say. So I'm going to pick up the coins and ask that question over and over again. And this is January 10th, 2023. January 10th, 2023. What is the outcome for humanity if feminism continues? What is the outcome for humanity if feminism continues? What's the outcome for humanity if feminism continues? First changing line, a 6 in the third place. What is the outcome for humanity if feminism continues? Another changing line, 6 again. What is the outcome for humanity if feminism continues? Oh, lots of changes here. What is the outcome for humanity if feminism continues? What's the outcome for humanity if feminism continues? Wow, lots of change. Okay. All right. Yang Yang Yin, that is Sun. And Yang Yang Yin, this is Sun over here too. I'm just going to tuck it in here. Hopefully you can see that. Sun and Sun, these are both the same. And Yin Yin Yang, Chen. We're going to tuck it in right here. Chen is the upper trigram. And the lower Yin Yang Yin, which is Calm. Correct? Yes. Got to get some more ink in this marker. Would be nice if they had refills for markers. Okay. So, Sun and Con. 59. 59. And Chen and Sun, 32. Yeah, I'm running out of ink here. Might be able to get through this though, we'll see. Let's see what they're labeled. 59. Outcome for humanity if feminism continues. And this is dispersion. Dispersion and disillusion. Okay, and number 32. Outcome for humanity if feminism continues. Duration. Okay, let's start with number 59. If you want to just rest your eyes and listen, take a few deep breaths. Dispersion, disillusion. Wind blowing over water disperses it, dissolving it into foam and mist. This suggests when a person's vital energy is dammed up within themselves, indicated as danger by the attribute of the lower trigram, Kan. Gentleness serves to break up and dissolve the blockage. So gentleness is indicated in this hexagram. The judgment, dispersion, success. The king approaches the temple. It furthers one to cross the great water. Perseverance furthers. The text of this hexagram resembles that of gathering together, In the latter, the subject is the bringing together of elements that have been separated, as water collects in lakes upon the earth. Here, the subject is the dispersing and dissolving of divisive egotism. Dispersion shows the way, so to speak, that leads to gathering together. This explains the similarity of the two texts. Religious forces are needed to overcome the egotism that divides humanity. The common celebration of the great sacrificial feasts and sacred rites, which gave expression simultaneously to the interrelation and social articulation of family and state, was a means used by the great rulers to unite humanity. Sacred music and the splendor of the ceremonies aroused a strong tide of emotion that was shared by all hearts in unison, and that awakened a consciousness of the common origin of all creatures. In this way, disunity, or lack of unity, was overcome, and rigidity dissolved. A further means to the same end is cooperation, and that general undertakings, or great general undertakings, that set a high goal for the will of the people. In the common concentration on this goal, all barriers dissolve. Just as, when a boat is crossing a great stream, all hands must unite in a joint task, but only a man who is himself free of all selfish ulterior considerations and who perseveres in justice and steadfastness is capable of so dissolving the hardness of egotism. So I'll say that again. Only a man who is free himself of all selfish ulterior considerations and who perseveres in justice and steadfastness is capable of dissolving the hardness of the ego. The image. The wind drives over the earth, the image of dispersion. Thus the kings of old sacrificed to the Lord and built temples. In the autumn and winter, water begins to freeze into ice. When the warm breezes of spring come, the rigidity is dissolved, and the elements that have been dispersed in ice floes are reunited. It's the same with the minds of the people, humanity. Through hardness and selfishness, the heart grows rigid, and this rigidity leads to separation from others. Egotism and cupidity isolate men and women. Therefore, the hearts of humanity must be seized by a devout emotion. Hearts must be shaken by a spiritual awe in the face of eternity, stirred with an intuition of the one creator of all living beings, and united through the strong feeling of fellowship experienced in the ritual of divine worship. So the changing lines, cupidity, I just want to go back to that word because that's a very unique word. It says in this sentence, egotism and cupidity isolate humanity. Well, we can understand how the ego can isolate people from one another, but cupidity means an excessive desire to accumulate wealth and an excessive desire to accumulate possessions. So that excessive desire for wealth and possessions, along with the ego, creates separation between people. So 6 in the third place, he dissolves his self, no remorse. Under certain circumstances, a man's work may become so difficult that he can no longer think of himself. He must set aside all personal desires and disperse whatever the self gathers about it to serve as a barrier against others. Only on the basis of a great renunciation can this person obtain the strength for great achievements. By setting this goal in a great task outside themselves, people can attain this standpoint. So, number 4, 6 in the fourth place means a person dissolves their bond with the group. A person dissolves their bond with their group. Supreme good fortune. Dispersion leads in turn to accumulation. So as we disperse blessings or money or what have you, then we also begin to receive and accumulate. So dispersion leads in turn to accumulation. This is something that ordinary men and women do not think of. When we are working in a task that affects the general welfare of all humanity, we must leave all private friendships out of account. Only by rising above separatist party interests can we achieve something decisive. A person who has the courage thus to forego what is near wins what is afar. But in order to comprehend this standpoint, a person must have a wide view of the interrelationships of life, such as only unusual men and women can attain. So here we have the idea of a long vision, foregoing what is near and winning what is afar. And in order to understand this point of view, a person must have a very wide view of the interrelationships of life, the relationships between all beings, such as only unusual men and women attain. Okay, and the last line that changes, 9 in the 5th place, that's right, we got 2 more changing lines. He cries, his loud cries are as dissolving as sweat. Disillusion. A king abides without blame. In times of general dispersion and separation, a great idea provides a focal point for the organization of recovery. Just as an illness reaches its crisis in a dissolving sweat, so a great and stimulating idea is a true salvation in times of general deadlock. It gives the people a rallying point, a man in a ruling position who can dispel misunderstandings. 9 at the top means he dissolves his blood, departing, keeping at a distance, going out is without blame. The idea here is of the dissolving of a man's blood. This means the dispersion of that which might lead to bloodshed and wounds, avoidance of danger. So the idea of the dissolving of a man or woman's blood means the dispersion of that which might lead to bloodshed and wounds, avoiding of danger. But here the thought is not that a man avoids difficulties for himself alone, but rather that he rescues his kin, helps them to get away before danger comes, or to keep at a distance from an existing danger, or to find a way out of a danger that is already upon them. In this way, he does what is right. So here we have the idea of avoiding danger, and the person, which is characterized as a man, avoids difficulties, but not for himself alone, but rather he rescues his kin. His kin are like his family, friends, close people. And by rescuing his kin, this helps them to get away before danger comes, or to keep at a distance from an existing danger. So it sounds to me as if this line is particularly saying that feminism could be a danger, because the question that was posed was, what's the outcome for humanity if feminism persists or continues? And here we have the image of a man rescuing his family, helping them to get away before danger comes, and or keeping at a distance from an existing danger. Feminism, I would imagine, could be perceived by the family and by men, in many respects, as an existing danger. The other third way is this man finds a way out of danger that is already upon them. So that seems relevant to me as well, because feminism has sought rights and privileges for women, at the same time allowing men to assume more responsibility and not have the same types of advantages and rights as women. So that's just a very simple example, but I think that this final sentence, finding a way out of danger that is already upon them, I would have to say that there does seem to be a gender war in 2023, and I think it's been here for a while. And I think that a lot of people are becoming more and more aware of this tension between the genders. Now, not that everybody is having tension between the genders, but I think that there are probably a large group of people, a majority, that find there is a tension that is already upon us. So, just to retrace this man rescues his kin, his family, his friends, and gets them away before danger comes, and keeps at a distance from an existing danger, and finds a way out of a danger that is already upon them. So that is the 9 in the 6th place. So now we're going to duration. That changes. Dispersion and dissolution. Separation goes to duration, which is 32. Duration. The strong trigram Chen is above. The weak trigram Sun is below. This hexagram is the inverse of the preceding one. The preceding hexagram was influence or wooing. Influence and wooing, if you think about this, you're trying to impress someone. A man or a woman are trying to impress one another. And yeah, the attraction between the sexes, courtship, those types of things, that's wooing, whereas this is the inverse of wooing. Here we have union as an enduring condition. So here we go from a separation aspect and danger of dispersion, and then we transition to duration. We have the union as an enduring condition. We could think of union too as the union in relationships between men and women and between the genders. So a stronger union. The two trigrams are thunder and wind, which are likewise constantly paired phenomenon. The lower trigram indicates gentleness within, and the upper trigram indicates movement without. In the sphere or realm of social relationships, this hexagram represents the institution of marriage as the enduring union of the sexes. During courtship, the young man subordinates himself to the girl. But in marriage, which is represented by the coming together of the eldest son and the eldest daughter, the husband is the directing and moving force outside, while the wife inside is gentle and submissive. Here we go with this idea of the man being the directing and moving force, while the wife is gentle and submissive. That certainly doesn't sound like feminism, does it? And the idea of the hexagram duration representing the institution of marriage. Oh, okay, well, it doesn't seem like people are as fond of getting married as they used to be, but here we have the idea of the institution of marriage as the enduring union of the sexes. So here we have this very strong union of that is duration is implied in this particular circumstance of this hexagram, and the man in the union is the directing and moving force outside, while the wife inside is gentle and submissive. I don't know if feminists would like to hear that, though. The judgment, duration, success, no blame, perseverance furthers. It furthers one to have somewhere to go. Duration is a state whose movement isn't worn down by hindrances and blockages. Duration is not a state of rest, for mere standstill is regression. Duration is rather the self-contained and self-renewing movement of an organized, firmly integrated whole, taking place in accordance and in harmony with immutable laws and beginning again at every ending. So duration is, as the name implies, enduring. The end is reached by an inward movement by inhalation, contraction, and this movement turns into a new beginning, which is movement directed outward, or exhalation, expansion. Heavenly bodies exemplify duration. They move in their fixed orbits because of their light-giving power. Because, let me start the sentence over again, I apologize. The planets move in their fixed orbits, and because of this, their light-giving power endures. The seasons of the year follow a fixed law of change and transformation. hence can produce effects that endure. So likewise the dedicated man embodies an enduring meaning in his way of life, and thereby the world is formed. And that which gives things their duration, we can come to understand the nature of all beings in heaven and on earth. And of course, heaven and earth are representations of the divine masculine heaven and the divine feminine earth, a coming together of feminine and masculine. The image, thunder and wind, the image of duration. Thus, the superior man stands firm and does not change his direction. Thunder rolls and the wind blows. Both are examples of extreme mobility, and so are seemingly the very opposite of duration. But the laws that govern their appearance and disappearance, their coming and going, these laws endure. In the same way, the independence of the superior man is not based on rigidity and immobility of character, essentially rigidity and immobility, like a stubborn character. This superior man always keeps abreast of the time and changes with it. What endures is the unswerving directive, the inner law of his being, which determines all his actions. So, there's a lot of different ways that this can be interpreted, and I'm not going to say that it has to be my interpretation exclusively. If you have a unique way of understanding this, by all means, go with that. But as I listen to this reading, I hear the idea of separation, dispersion, things being separated by ego, by the genders not being in agreement, the idea of cupidity or excessive desire for wealth and possessions. What was the other thing that they said? Let's just find that real quick here. That was interesting. I thought that was very relevant. So, ego. The ego isolates people from one another. So, hearts of humanity have to be seized by a strong emotion, essentially inspired by the divine creator of the universe. So here we have a lot of messages of there being separation, and in the idea of feminism, I think this is relevant because I don't think it's a unifying force. It certainly doesn't seem to me to be a unifying force for men and women, rather a separatist type of force that is very cliquish. So this idea expands even further about if we're working on a task that affects humanity's general welfare, we have to leave aside all selfish ulterior motives, and we have to rise above separatist interests, such as feminism, if we want to achieve something successful. So, in order to have this success, we have to have a perspective within ourselves that understands a wide view, and that is the interrelationships of life. So between men and women and between all beings, these relationships are very important, and things that get in the way of these relationships, I would say feminism gets in the way in many respects, is a blockage. And a superior man or woman, if they're able to attain this comprehension and standpoint, they'll have a wider view of the importance of the harmonious and peaceful interrelationships of life. And these people will be unusual but important nonetheless. So the next line talks about a unifying point, a man in a ruling position who dispels misunderstandings. Just as an illness reaches a crisis in a dissolving sweat, so a great and stimulating idea can be salvation in times of general deadlock. I would say that feminism has created a general deadlock and reached crisis level, and well, I think we're all sweating, And we need a new, great, and stimulating idea to help save us from this this divisive blocking energy between us. And then the final line, very fascinating. The superior person knows that it's important to avoid danger, of course, but the thought here is not that this person, the superior man or superior woman for that matter, only avoids difficulties for themselves, but rather rescues their family and friends, their close people, and helps them get away before danger comes, or keeps these people and themselves at a distance from an existing danger, or finds a way out of a danger that is already upon them. In this way, he or she does what is right. I would say the danger that is referred to is feminism and the continuance of feminism. And then we have, as already mentioned, the hexagram of duration, which after we've gotten away from that danger, after the superior man and woman have attained the clarity necessary to see the divisiveness of this particular situation, then we have a reunification that indicates an enduring duration between the genders. So we have to keep abreast of the time and change with it. Things that don't work, we have to walk away from. And the thing that's important is the unswerving or very decisive and consistent directive and the inner law of the superior person's being, man or woman, which determines all their actions. So you have to ask yourself, what is the unswerving directive? What is the superior decision to bring unity to humanity? Is feminism a part of that or not? So that is the message I wanted to share. I hope that it sheds some interesting light. And I think I'm going to ask some other questions about what is coming, or what can we expect for the first 6 months in 2023. Just a little heads up. And then I think maybe some other ideas as well that might be pertinent to people that are curious, like what's going on with the world and where are we at here in this whole process. So thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to if you'd like to listen to this again, I think it'd be worthy of your time. I think there's a lot of relevance, and I certainly look forward to the reality of men and women getting closer and closer and more peaceful and harmonious. If you're interested in a private reading, the information is in the description box. Thanks for tuning in, and take care.